Say one more thing? Can I say one more thing about Valiant before we move on?
You may.
Thank you. So I think it's interesting though because this is the first week that Valiant has really committed to the Sombra, right, with Shax, and like one of their star players, Space, wasn't in the lineup at all week. I don't think. At least I don't remember.
Crazy, right?
The diva player, I'm telling you, the diva
Right.
is really falling out of favor.
Yeah. So I think that's really interesting. Not because I think Space is an amazing player, but I
Oh,
think
Right on the hit. Pulse bomb gets nothing effect. Has that one taken away by Troy Hellman. It seems like this could be.
Hello and welcome to the Overwatch League recap, a talk show focusing on the Overwatch League. I am Blazin' Bob, and today I am joined by I Play Games and Mel. We don't have a guest this week, but we have the two most important guests that are here every week. What's going on, guys?
what's up? What's up? Good to be
hello.
back. Good to just be the good old crew. I love having guests. Don't get me wrong, but I get much less airtime when they're on.
Yep. And I mean, I did have a guest schedule, but like oftentimes guests have to back out, and it's oftentimes very good reasons. So I never get mad at anybody, but usually I'm able to have some time to like grab somebody else on the fly. But today I was super busy going and doing a whole lot of apartment stuff for our new apartment that we're going to be moving to here in about a month and a half. So I was pretty busy today and just didn't have time to do it. Also had to get the Libero interview out onto YouTube right before the show here. So it's been a little bit wild. But how has y'all's weeks been in Overwatch?
You want to go first, Mel?
Well, it started off really good because Outlaws beat Eternal, and then it went a little bit downhill from there. But I did get to gloriously sit next to Bob as the fuel got dominated, so it was a little bit of an upper there.
Not just dominated, just straight. Oh my gosh, yeah, just straight destroyed.
Yes,
It's okay,
dominated was
Bob.
a very good word there. Yes.
I sympathize with you. Atlanta has not been too hot lately either. Yeah, it's been a rough week. I've been playing a ton of Overwatch though, so that's been fun. I've been trying to get back on my Widowmaker, and for some reason my Tracer is looking good. But other than that, yeah, Overwatch League was crazy this week. We saw a few comebacks from teams that have been wanting to make a comeback for a while, right? LA Valiant proving to everybody that they ain't dead.
Oh yeah, we're gonna definitely talk about that. That's pretty nuts. But yeah, Overwatch has been a little weird on the ladder, though. I think you would have to agree. I mean, we didn't have very much luck the other night when we ran a six. I think we only won 2 games.
Yeah,
I
the
think I
ladder has been
wasn't
pretty
there, remember?
all over the place.
So,
Yeah, we were missing our mercy carry. I mean, what the heck?
What were we thinking?
sorry.
But I mean, Overwatch League has also been looking interesting. But I think
Super
metas in both
interesting.
sides, and we can talk a little bit about that if you want to here at the top of the show.
Sure,
But
jump right in.
I like calling it the Sombra Destroyer of Goats, and not straight up Destroyer of Goats, because turns out that you just play her in goats, right? A lot of the time. But that being said, Sombra is becoming a real threat, and it's taking the spot of Diva, especially at the top tier. With the top teams are realizing, hey, we can really abuse Sombra, and we can get so much more juice with her than Diva sometimes, especially from all the nerfs that have been coming around. And now that the Matrix is even more reduced, I don't even know if the
It's not in
players
the league yet, though.
it's
But
not even
I
it's not even
think,
live.
I think
And
they're
so,
preemptively like starting to train other things, though. You know what I mean?
yeah, and not only preemptively, I think that they outright have realized that Sombra just gets some more juice. Because think about goats as a composition. Sombra is a huge threat to Zenyatta, for example. He has to be watching his back, right? EMP is coming. He has to be hiding. He has to be super worried about losing his shields, dying right away. He's also a huge threat to Lucio and Brigitte because she can outright take out their ult out of the way. More so Lucio than Brigitte, because even if Lucio casts his ult, if you EMP, bam, those shields are gone. And that's a
Yeah,
huge,
completely gone.
yeah, it's a huge damage mitigation. It's one of the ways that they survive gravitons the most, which is, a main part of the goats versus goats matchup. And then she's also a huge threat to Reinhardt, because if he gets hacked in the front line and he loses his shield, he immediately loses the Rhine battle,
Oh,
right?
believe
That's
me,
an
I know.
immediate. Oh
Oh,
yeah,
I
that's
know.
an immediate backup. So she's just like the all-star right now in every sense of the word, and it's much more valuable taking her than Diva. Now, when you're taking all these Sombras, some teams are realizing, well, she's gonna take away all of her fighting power, and we might as well start running other compositions that don't involve goats, especially in certain maps. I think they can still get away with goats, especially if you're running your own version of Sombra goats, and at that point it becomes who's playing the matchup better, right? But that being said, it is forcing some teams like San Francisco Shock to have to reevaluate. Can we actually get away with running goats in every map?
Yeah,
And some
not
other
even just
teams,
San Francisco, Vancouver too.
I was just gonna say that, and some other teams are having to reevaluate who they have in which position. Vancouver Titans versus Valiant was actually swapping Somisu from his usual Zarya role, which he's really good at. If not the second best, maybe the best Zarya. I know that Sinatra gets a lot of talk, but his Zarya is just clean, and he's getting put on the Sombra, and
And he's
then
not so hot on the
Jajanu.
Sombra.
He's not so hot on the Sombra, and Janu is filling in his shoes on the Zarya. And again, he's also not as hot as Somisu was on the Zarya. And you're seeing these teams get affected by that because that roster swap is not their best, right?
It's not
Now,
ideal, right?
for a humble brag, if you go back to opening week episode of Al Recap, I don't remember the episode number, but it's opening week. I said Sombra was going to be the most important character going forward in GOAT's meta. And like during stage 2, I just thought, well, shoot, maybe I was just wrong. But I mean,
By the way, that wasn't a humble brag at all.
I think I
But
was just right because I think just before there weren't enough Sombras, like there weren't enough pro players with enough Sombra experience to actually implement it because it is a really tough role to play and a really patient role too in a lot of cases.
well, I
It is
guess
a tough
what's the
role.
difference though? Like, what's the difference between now and stage 1 or stage 2? Because Summer was played in stage 1 some, and with
She
pretty good
did get
success.
she did
She
get
wasn't
buffs to
played
her.
hardly at all. She wasn't played hardly at all in stage 2 though.
Yep.
And now in stage 3, she's like a
I
mainstay on
believe
most teams.
at the start of stage 2 she got the buff to the health pack where her hacked the health pack and then the cooldown is significantly lower than if she hacks a person.
But do you think it
I
was
think that's the
really
only
anything?
change.
Do you think it was really anything within the game, or do you think it was just these mid-tier, low-tier teams that were like, listen, we're not going to beat San Francisco or Titans at GOATs, so we're going to go with something else and see if we can perfect it to beat them? Because Shanghai was really the biggest GOATs, Somber GOATs proponent, I guess, in stage 2, and then in stage 3, bringing Ding on the Sombra, who was just amazing, right? Other teams saw that and were like, "Hey, that could fit better with our play style," right?
Mm-hmm. Well,
I think it's a combination of all those things, Mel. And one part is people figuring out Sombra, right? Figuring out where she works and her strengths, where she really shines, giving her a try, taking some time, and then some other teams realizing, hey, actually, our roster works well with this, like the Outlaws. Having Dante in with them actually works out for them because their strengths as players go better with that composition than with a traditional goats. In part was some teams running their faces straight into a wall, playing in Vancouver Titans and San Francisco Shock, and realizing no matter if we're playing the same composition, these guys are playing these heroes at a different level than we are.
Do you think the
Right.
map pool this stage has anything to do with it?
The map pool definitely does help. Maps like Havana and Eichenwald, which are so open, give very little room to people like Zenyatta or Lucio to be hiding, right? So the EMPs are a lot more impactful when they're coming in than maps like maybe King's Row, right? Where there's so many nooks and crannies and it's easy for them to go behind the wall and then be right back with their team. Open maps like that or Junkertown, it's really hard for them to do that.
And
And the
small
Sombra has a lot of
chokes.
angles to come at them from anywhere.
Yeah, and small chokes for the Sombra to just get through oftentimes causes problems. Like Paris seems to cause Sombra quite a bit of problems.
Now you have even New York Excelsior bringing back Sabiobi, right?
SBB.
And and we had another fantastic matchup. I'm sure we'll get into that. But New York Excelsior and London, right? Spitfire. That was a fantastic matchup that we
Mhm.
got to see, and with a lot of Sombra. And again, the teams adapting and realizing we're going up against the Sombra. We might as well run something else and not risk it with goats.
Yep. Well, let's just go ahead and jump in. I'd like to start off by thanking Shazir, our recap producer. Thank you so much for your support and all of our Patreons. Also, we are really looking for some input on desirable rewards and perks for the Patreon. So if you have like a good idea, please let us know because we would like to make that, something that is beneficial to you and not just you supporting us. So let us know what we can do to, possibly entice you to come over and spend a little bit of money. Today we're just going to go over news like usual. We're going to go over matches. You got a little precursor to it, so let's just go ahead and jump right into the news. So, rumor has it, again, Stage 4 222 roll lock. So it was a Korean contenders caster that leaked this, along with the support of a few other people. And honestly, the behavior of teams in the league, knocking the dust off SBB and bringing in people, trying lots of other DPS comps, it does kind of feel like teams have been told that this is coming. What do you guys think of this new rumor, and how do you think it will affect Stage 4 if they actually put it in?
I'm tired. I'm tired of this rumor, to be honest.
Me too, because I'm not getting excited. I'm just waiting.
I think it's too much speculation. If they're gonna do it, the teams maybe already know. I mean, they should let them know. But at this point, honestly, I don't even know if I want to roll lock. Like, I feel like the meta keeps evolving. Some of the changes that they did a while ago are still having repercussions right now, and some of them haven't even been completely explored. Even the Overwatch League meta is evolving little by little. Granted, Goats is not out of the picture, but you're seeing all kinds of stuff. Even Genji's being brought out, which wasn't heard of a few months ago. So I keep seeing things evolve. I love seeing things like Clockwork Vendetta comp, which might not be possible if 222 roll luck comes into play. So I don't know. I don't even know if I want this change. Maybe I'm like the only one who's changing my mind over here, but I don't know. I
Yeah,
All right,
like what I'm seeing
Bren.
lately.
Yeah,
I think
just change your mind.
Mel, do you want to go first before me?
Well, I was just gonna say, I feel like the 222 roll lock is necessary for a multitude of points, but I think that you're never gonna get out of the 3 healer, right? Like, that's
It's
always
just so
going to be
powerful.
a powerful comp to sustain on the type of points that Overwatch has, right?
So
Like,
much
you have to be on the point, you
utility
have to
in
be on the
supports.
load, you have to be on this. So, like, those are always gonna be superior. Also, Overwatch League does not mirror competitive play at all anymore. And I think that's our biggest problem, right? Is that you used to watch Overwatch League to kind of learn what to do in competitive, but you can't do that right now. You're watching Overwatch League and you're watching goats and you're watching Sombra goats. You go into competitive Overwatch, there's no goats. Nobody plays goats in competitive Overwatch, right? They used to, but they don't anymore. Like, and so I just think that
Well, I
it's
think that goes to show how much the composition has suffered and that you can only really get away with it if you're playing it really good.
Right. And you have to be coordinated, you have to have good communication. So like I just feel like it's a boon to the league for them not playing basically they're playing a different game than anybody else is that's watching, right? So like you can't watch Overwatch League go in and play and be like, "Oh, yeah, I know what to do here." No, you don't. You have no idea. But I also think that doing it in stage 4 is kind of crappy, right? Like you get people that now are good at DPS that get to like have their day in the sun in stage 4, but then you get like the best teams who maybe don't get to go to the playoffs or maybe don't get to rise up because they don't fit that meta as well and they don't have enough time to adjust.
I will say that I'm definitely for the 2-2-2. I thought it would have been a much better implementation if they put it in the middle of the season. I think that would have been a lot better. I am going to miss seeing things like 3 DPS comps with Ball and like 4 DPS comps with Ball and a solo Mercy. I'm going to miss that if it comes. But at the same time, they keep putting in more supports and more tanks, and that's going to keep happening. And like you said on Omnic Lab, you speculated like how cool would it be if they just released 5 new characters? It
Oh,
would be
for Overwatch 2
impossible. Yeah,
all at the same time.
it would be impossible to do that without some sort of lock. We're just getting to the point to where there's too many characters. The reason there wasn't like 3 supports played in the early game is because there wasn't enough supports
Brig
to
didn't
make it.
exist.
Well, Brig didn't, Anna didn't. Like the problem with supports is they have so much utility, and like that's what you're really like opting in for, and then you're just putting your cards, on
You're
like.
right. You guys are right in the sense that it really depends on how you're looking at this problem. If you're looking at it from a balance perspective, to roadlock all the way, right? That is so much easier to balance for the developers, for competitive as well. Easier to emulate what is happening in Overwatch League versus competitive because you're already organizing the community in a much broader sense, right? It's not like go pick whatever you want, but it's like at least we're gonna have a semblance of a structure that we follow every game, right? It's not going to be as volatile.
Yeah.
That being said, from a strategist kind of like geek or geeking out about what you can do with the game and the possibilities that you can achieve, it's a sad hit, right? You're gonna get that there. So I
Yeah, it
It's
get
the
both
same
definitely
hit
ways.
you
is.
got when they did Hero Lock though,
Yeah, absolutely.
so
Although
I
some
don't think
people argue
anybody's
that
complaining
there's
about
more
that now.
creativity when you lock it because then you don't have to worry about dominating things like goats. But I mean, I feel like that'd be the same with 2-2 lock. Eventually, you arrive at the that 6 people are the best to run, right?
Yeah,
Right.
but
I
I
will
mean at
caution
that
people that
point,
it's not going to get us out of a meta. There
yeah,
will always be a meta.
yeah, and
Right.
It just
only
won't be ghosts.
yeah, only changes and patches will change that meta, but it's something that they could control a lot easier going forward. And I think it'd be healthy for the game. I really actually honestly don't know that it's the healthiest to put it in stage 4. Like maybe you just wait till the end of the season at this point. I thought the halfway point was the perfect time to put it in. I don't know that it's smart to put it in stage 4. But they have
Although with
seen
what Mel was
viewership drops,
saying,
though. But then the viewership has jumped up this last weekend with everybody playing DPS. So I don't put too much in this rumor because I think it was already slated to happen mid stage and then they backtracked it. So
Yeah. I think if it does go through, I think you will get more viewership, but I think if the numbers are steady, if they have good viewership, I don't think they'll put it in.
yeah, I think if it continues for the next 2 weeks, as it has been this last week, I think they pull it back again, and I think they implement. I think they still implement it, but they implement it in season 3. But let's go ahead and move on. The upper deck cards are out. Mel got a free. Did you get a free pack? I think I
I
got
was
it
trying to
too.
claim it, but I couldn't figure out how to claim it.
I tried to do it
Just
on
I claimed
mobile,
mine.
and I couldn't
I
do
did
it
too.
either.
I'm gonna
I
have to
did it
talk
on
to you guys
mobile.
after the show for you
Blackers.
to show me. I claimed the other cards like the Mercy and the Lucio special edition that came out a while back, so I have those. But I need to claim my free pack. I was gonna get some,
I think
but then
I
I
don't
saw the
think you
price
can.
tag and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to wait a little bit.
I think the like free pack is gone now.
Oh, really?
I think it's just. I mean, I got it both on the Al Recap email and on my email, so I think it's just any account that has an active like Overwatch game connected to it.
Oh,
Well, I logged into the account. It said you have a free pack. I just couldn't figure out how to claim it.
Yeah, I
but
don't.
wasn't there a deadline on when you could claim it by?
I
There
don't know.
might be. Yeah, there might be. But Mel, what's it like? Because they're like e-cards, right?
Right? Yeah,
But you can
they are.
request a physical copy, I think.
Only if you get a certain amount of duplicates, though, is from what I understand. Like you have
Okay,
to
well,
get duplicates of it, and then you finally get the physical card.
I haven't
Oh.
like gone that far in depth into it, but
I
I
don't
do
know.
know that I have 20 cards.
Do you care
And
about
yeah.
the e-cards? That's actually what I want to know.
I mean, I care as much about the e-cards as I would about a physical card. Let's be real here.
Okay, see, and I'm way on the other side. Like a physical
Right, but
card.
I didn't grow up
like
collecting video like baseball cards and stuff like that. Like,
this is fun because I have a thing. Like I'm showing a cute but deadly. This is fun.
right, this is the
But if I
difference
had a
between Bob
picture
and
of
I. Look at
this,
Bob's room and look at my room.
oh yeah,
Like,
true,
I'm
true.
gonna throw that out here. Like, somebody likes physical items a little bit more.
Yes, yes, I definitely display my nerd-tasticness on the walls. If you've never seen the stream, you should definitely check it out, or you can see it on YouTube. But I play. What do you think about e-cards? Is it because you could trade them and stuff through your account and
I
stuff?
like the physical cards because I like having, I'm like you. I like having the physical thing and maybe having a binder where I can put all of them and maybe trade and collect.
Man, iPlay's already got a binder and stuff.
No, I'm saying I would if I had the cards. I'm not there yet, but I will. Um, but I thought that you got a physical copy of them. Now you're making me doubt it because then
You can
it's
buy
kind of a
physical
bummer.
packs, but the
I think if
e-cards, you
you
have to get
get
a
the
certain amount of duplicates, from what I understand, and then you
Gotcha.
can
if you
request
buy
the
the
actual
physical
card.
cards, if you buy the physical cards, you will get an e-card as well, I believe.
Yeah, you also get the code to have it as
Right,
a
but I don't think you
digital
get
copy.
I don't think
Yeah.
you get the physical card if you get the e-cards.
I don't
Right?
know.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm a little weirded out. Listeners, if you want to write in, tell us what you think about it. Do you like the
I want to know who's
e-cards?
collecting these cards so I can trade them when we go to conventions.
Yeah, definitely.
I've got them. What is Pack Wars? Sorry.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so moving on. Zenyatta MVP Jonak skin. So Jonak got to work with the Overwatch team and create a skin based on things he loves. I know, Melissa, you looked into this.
I did I?
Oh, maybe you didn't. Was it you? No, it was Yankee.
I
It was Yankee in our 6 stack that told us all about it. I thought it would have been better to just have Zenyatta, just his plain model, but with big Jonak glasses. And that's the only thing you add.
It'd
But
be very classy.
yeah,
It's like an alien.
it's an
It's like a
octopus.
octopus
Yeah,
in a brain.
and he really likes octopuses. Octopusi?
It's like an octopus brain face.
Octopi.
In like a bubble.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
inside his head. I thought it looked pretty cool. It looks like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle villain or something.
Heroes in a half shell. Turtle power.
Yeah.
They're the world's most... Sorry.
I'm a fan. I like the way Jonak thinks. He likes the creepy, super intelligent octopus. I like it.
It's like I want to be
I thought it looked
intimidating
good.
when I go towards somebody.
Well, put those glasses on. He'll be intimidating. I'm telling you. Maybe add the bowl cut. I don't know.
I feel like they just should have made it look exactly like Jonak.
That would have
And
been
we
great.
could have.
but
I do like
he
that the
did
MVP
love
gets
it.
that privilege of designing his own skin, though. That
Yeah.
is a really cool thing because that is his own taste, his own style, getting imprinted into the game as a almost like a remembrance of him, right? I really like it.
Yeah, they did a like expose where they, showed him working with the developers. They interviewed him about it, and honestly, his smile uptime, if that makes sense, was higher than I've ever seen in any interview Jonak has ever done. He's usually very somber, very straight faced, but in this, he was just like grin from ear to ear the whole time, and he said it would be something he would never forget. He would tell his children, grandchildren about it. Like it's
Yeah, it's
really
huge.
cool.
Yeah, it's a huge homage. I like it.
Yep.
I think it makes MVP. It gives it a little bit extra oomph. You know what I mean? Like you get that like thing that lasts in history a little bit longer than maybe your trophy, because people will forget who was MVP season 1 when season 2's crowned. You know.
Well, he's got a lot of work cut out for him. I think if things continue the way they are, Sombra's going to get MVP, but I could be wrong. So MVP voting begins July 25th, tomorrow, or you're probably listening to this tomorrow. So today, July 25th. So go ahead and go put in your votes, and you
July
could.
25th is in a month in a day.
Oh, because we're in June. My bad, guys. So you have plenty of time.
You have time.
We'll probably tell you every episode that is coming.
But
All
it's
right.
only a month long, so you can only vote from July 25th to August 24th. So make sure that you get them in.
Yeah, we'll let you know again. We know you guys were going to sleep before then, so we'll remind you later on. Moving on to team news. Valiant add Reprise OW as an assistant coach. Do you guys know where he was from? Who he came from? For some reason, the
No,
name's
not
not
sure.
sounded familiar.
Yeah, not too sure. I haven't heard of him before. Actually, might be Korean.
I don't know. Well, they added him when he does something cool. We will let you guys know. Shanghai Dragons acquire Envy from Toronto Defiant. Now Envy just is playing musical chairs, man. Valiant season 1, then moves to Toronto, and now moving to the Shanghai Dragons. I think Toronto feels that they're going to be going with God's B moving forward as the off tank. So getting rid of Envy, but Envy's been jumping around, and Envy's a good player. What do you guys think of
He's a
this?
good player, but it just depends on how he's meshing with the team, and there's so many other factors, right? It can be communication. It could be that maybe some of the other off tanks play style are working a little better. He's not known for his Sombra, and I feel like right now
He,
as
but
an off
he,
tank role.
but I mean, he is kind of like he played Sombra quite a bit. Like when we interviewed him, was one of the talking points we talked about. He played Sombra quite a bit in stage 1, and then nothing after that. I don't know. Like I don't know what happened, but I mean, he did play well for a few games as Sombra in stage 1.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows there?
I mean, Shanghai Dragons doesn't need a Sombra. Let's be real here.
No, not at all.
Well,
Who's Shanghai's Zarya?
well, they don't play goats a whole ton.
Yeah, they don't
Like
play a lot of goats.
Shanghai, like
But I do play it every once in a while. Am I blanking out of the name? Let me look up at the roster and I'll get back to you guys.
Is
yeah,
it DM or
yes,
Youngjin?
DM, DM.
Yeah, DM. DM is their badass widow who also plays Zarya. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that like Toronto just really feels that Godsby is going to be their off tank flex, and I think they're just getting rid of Envy. But it kind of is worrisome. It makes you wonder if Envy's a little toxic if he's getting moved around to all these different teams constantly, because he is a good player.
No, I
I
don't
mean-
think it's toxicity.
Yeah.
I'm
I think
just
it's
think
more
Envy's
speculating.
he's
also-
looking for new opportunities and maybe Shanghai sees something in Envy that they want, right?
I mean, Shanghai right now doesn't really have a very good diva on their roster, right? Gaguri played diva last season and was good, but not great, right? Like her focus was more on Zarya, and I think she did a decent job, but it wasn't amazing. So they really don't have anybody that has a good diva pool, and I think Envy brings that to them, making them a little bit more well-rounded for
Yeah,
whatever meta changes might come, you know?
yeah. Toronto gets some money, but that's it for team news. Let's move into the games. Let's start off with the spiciest of spicy. Let's start off with the last game of the week. Valiant take on the Titans. Valiant come out with the win 3-1 against the Titans. Wow. First loss the Titans have taken the entire season in the regular season. They did lose once to San Francisco in the Stage 2 finals, but first loss they've taken in the regular season, and Valiant did it with a lot of weird DPS comps that made the Titans play a lot of other different weird DPS comps. And like what we talked about on this show in stage one, Houston Outlaws and the Chengdu Hunters took maps from Vancouver early in stage one when they played DPS. And we thought, why doesn't other people do this? And Valiant they just cashed in.
Yeah,
Valiant really cashed in. They played out of their minds. I actually went back and rewatched this game in the um, Overwatch League viewer, and it was incredible watching them play. Kariv played out of his mind. He was playing out of this world. Agilities, oh my god, his Brigida was looking so good.
And his
The
Farah
predictions, yeah, yeah, yeah. He played a bunch of other stuff too.
and
And
Shax,
then
dude,
Shax on the
killing
Sombra
it.
was on point. He was really getting under Vancouver. They played really well. I love the compositions that they played. On Paris, they came out with this really weird bunker attack with Orisa, Hanzo, and Anna as kind of your main bunker moving up. And granted, this is on attack, not on defense, right? And then you have a pharmacy and you have Shax on the Sombra, just like hovering around while the Orisa and the Hanzo were just killing it. At one point, the Orisa and Hanzo get trapped in a door, or not a door, but in this room, and they're basically just bunkering down, trying to survive with the Ana in there. Kariv gets picked off, but picking Kariv off, they are able to capitalize and KSF, I think that's his name.
Yes, KSF. We've done an interview with him too. It's on our YouTube.
KSF just popping off with that Hanzo. He just punished the Vancouver Titans so hard for trying to chase the Orisa and them into that room. And like kudos to them, just like under pressure, just playing so good while the Sombra and the Farah were just doing stuff up there. I really enjoyed this match. A lot to learn too, and the power of Sombra even affecting Vancouver Titans and forcing all these crazy compositions. Given that Goats was still a big part of the game, and on certain points it was still the go-to composition for both teams. But the Sombra was the main staple.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, it
Valiant
was
never let
mostly
it go.
Sombra goats throughout it
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
And Seo Mitsu's Sombra has been weighed, judged, and found wanting.
I think that though Su's Sombra is very similar to what Sabiobi's Sombra looked like when Sabiobi started playing Sombra, right? So like I don't think it's that Su can't get there, but I think he couldn't get there quick enough on Sunday. But I also think that it's not so much Su's Sombra as it is Janu's Zarya.
I think so. I think that they take a big hit when he's not on the Zarya because he provides so much damage for that team. It's really amazing watching him play. And when I say he's a clean player, is that he's never trying to do anything incredibly fancy with her, but his cursor is always on the right target. It's
Right.
always spot on. His aim is super, super
Yeah,
good,
he's got
and
great tracking.
his shields are really good. You always want him. He's always in the position where you want him to be. He gets grabs at the time that you need him. He matches the
Right.
other Zarya consistently, if not surpassing them. So him not being on the Zarya is a big hit because especially in goats, that's where that's your threat, right? That's the damage.
Your main damage dealer. And I think it's also like a lot of your protection, right? So switching out your Zarya player, you're playing like a totally different game. You don't know, you can't trust that your Zarya is going to bubble you at the right time. You
And
can't
they
trust
have
that
the
your Zarya is
most,
not going to do X, Y, and Z
and that's
and
Bumper.
not have a bubble for you. Right.
Yeah,
Like
And
Bumper needs
Bumper
that
trusts TMZ.
with his
and
aggressive style.
to be fair, I don't think that John is doing a bad job with the shields. But him not being the threat that Misu is already cost them space. It already
Right.
costs Bumper the space that he needs to be aggressive, right? Like when he gets aggressive, he needs that Zarya in the back that is gonna clean up fast, right? And if he's not cleaning up, he's at least making them retreat because the damage is so potent, right? And if he's not getting that, yeah, his aggression is going to get punished.
Right.
Yep, definitely. And yeah, Fact Fiction has really been proving that he deserved some playtime last season, and I mean he's been playing well.
I think
I don't
Fact
think
looks pretty
fact fiction
decent.
is better than Muma though. Like that's the
I don't think he
thing.
was the difference maker. I think he was a good Ryan and he was there to do the stuff that needed to be done. But I really think that it was some of his teammates that were just cranking it up to 11 in this matchup.
Coming
Right.
from the DPS and the support main guys, Reinhardt gets no love. Main tanks get no love. See, you heard it here
I still
first.
think. I mean, Fact is not looking bad, but when you pair him up against a guy like Bumper, I mean, you just see a difference there. Like Bumper was still making plays, especially when he gets to go on the Winston. Bumper actually just looks so scary. Some primal rages from Bumper just straight up destroyed Valiant in certain fights,
Hmm.
which is something that I definitely did not see Fact Fiction do. But to be fair, he played a really solid Ryan that without it, Valiant would not been able to pull it off. So it's not like he played bad.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean he's definitely always been known for his Ryan prowess.
Do you think that so Kareev I feel like is the story here because Kareev has gone so back and forth between I'm a DPS, I'm a healer, I'm a DPS, I'm a healer, right? And then at the beginning of the season he was slotted as a DPS, even though I think
He still
um
is on fantasy sites and on the Overwatch League site. He is classified as a DPS.
He still is a DPS. If you go in and watch how he's playing Anna, he is playing an offensive Anna.
right. So do you
Much
think
different from
that
Rio
that's part of it though?
Zhanghang or Jonak when they're playing Anna.
But do you think that's part of it, right? Like
Oh,
he's found a support.
absolutely.
He can play a support that also allows him to DPS. So like it's kind of the best of both worlds there for him.
But I mean that was Zen too. I mean, come on.
Right. But I guess I don't know. I think his Ana looked put up good numbers, I guess.
His
So
Anna was looking really good. The thing that I found the most impressive about his Anna was how liberal he was with his leap darts and also in an aggressive manner. Like I feel like a lot of their Annas are saving their sleep darts for the clutch sleep on the flanker or the Winston that jumps on them, the Doomfist that comes from behind. But he was using them almost as another projectile to shoot at whatever he was aiming at. He was using it consistently against Sombras, which was kind of impressive because he did catch Sombra at least one time before they could teleport out, and it acts as a mini stun. Right when you fall into the ground, even if they keep shooting at you immediately, you can't do any actions for like almost a second. There, you're basically like coming back up from the ground, and he was using it in this manner. And the amount of sleep darts he got on Haxel, even while playing Genji and Farah, the amount of sleeps he got on that Farah on that Dorado match was
Mm.
impressive, and he was the person who was keeping that Pharah at bay. The second that pharmacy would pop out, he was shooting at them and throwing sleep darts at huge ranges that actually got the Pharah pinned by the Reinhardt several times. So his style was working really, really well with that team, and he was definitely more on the DPS side that he was on the healer side. It was really interesting watching him play Anna compared to somebody like Jonak, for example.
Hmm.
Yeah, and Jodak, like, I don't think Jodak's the all-world Anna that everybody made him out to be after season one ended. I think he's extraordinary, but I don't think I think we'll see other stars start to show up. Playing the Anna, like Raucus has been a great one, and that kind of moves me into talking about the Houston Outlaws. They did end up
Wait, can I
taking.
say one more thing? Can I say one more thing about Valiant before we move on?
You may.
Thank you. So I think it's interesting though, because this is the first week that Valiant has really committed to the Sombra, right? With Shax. And like one of their star players, Space, wasn't in the lineup at all week, I don't think. At least I don't remember.
Crazy, right?
The diva player, I'm telling you, the diva
Right.
is really falling out of favor.
Yeah. So I think that's really interesting. Not because I think Space is an amazing player, but I
Oh,
think
he is
their
definitely an amazing
strategy,
diva.
But
yeah, their strategy going towards
he even said on Oversight last week that he just whoops, I just muted, sorry. He just thinks Sombra is is hard to play and he's just not good at it. He's self-admitted it there. Sorry, go ahead.
right. No, I mean, I just think that's interesting, right? So you take out one of your good players and you start to run this Sombra comp and you beat the Shanghai Dragons who you lost to before and you beat the Titans for their first loss ever in Overwatch League. So I think it's definitely something that they have to build on. Like, we're all not just going to be like, hey, Valiant's the new best team, just like we were, well, hey, Outlaws is the new best team after beating San Francisco. But it's a step in the right direction. If they keep it up, I think it'll be.
It's a meta shift that I think we're seeing in Overwatch League. Sombra is slightly taking over, and these teams that have been running goats exclusively just are not getting away with it anymore. And some of the teams that have figured it out, like Outlaws, and in this case, LA Valiant, they have figured out, hey, we can use this Sombra to really neuter these teams. And some of the
Right.
teams are kind of like getting a little mad. If you look at Super, he doesn't like it
Oh
when
no,
you
he
poke at
doesn't.
him like
He
that.
hates it.
but it's a meta shift, and I think that everyone's gonna have to work around this, right? I don't think that goats is disappearing, but it's gonna have more of a time and place now.
Right.
Yep. But moving on to the Outlaws, they beat the Paris Eternal 3-1, but then they lost to the Mayhem 3-1 and gave Mayhem their second win of the season. Mayhem
Outlaws
was
just going from end
1
to
in
end. Let me beat the
18.
strongest team, and then let me lose to the weakest team in the league.
Do you like?
Listen,
Do you
did you
think they
see
slept on
Saya
it?
player? No, did you see Saya player? Like, Mayhem got an opportunity to open up their DPS, and Saya player went nutso.
And
Like that
Linkser was off too. Linkser was
Linkzer's widow
very
was off
off.
for sure. But I think Linkzer's been focusing a lot on his Zarya, right? Because they've been playing a lot of Sombra goats. So I think he's been focusing a lot on that. And I think, I don't know, he was off. But I will say they tried a lot of crazy comps. I think they got overconfident in their ability to swap on the fly. Like, because they had talked about like, hey, we ran these comps that we hadn't really practiced and they worked against Shock, right? And I think they've gotten overconfident in that fact because, I mean, there was a lot of times where we were running Tracer Genji. We don't have the comp to run Tracer Genji. We know that about ourselves, guys. Like, we sucked at dive because we didn't have a Tracer Genji. We
Yep.
didn't have, like, and Jake was playing all of these other heroes where he shines on Junkrat and Farah, and he's pretty good at Doomfist too. But and his Hanzo's pretty good too. But right when he's switching off to like Genji and Tracer and things like that, I just feel like we're throwing things away. And Links are swapping to 8,000 different characters. I just feel like we were caught off guard, and
Well, and something that
Mayhem
I've
looks good.
noticed, something I noticed is when they were running Sombra Goats, Jake was dying first in the team fight more than anyone else on the team. And when you're playing the Brig role, like there were multiple times I saw Muma would have lived longer if Jake had just played a little more passive on the Brig and just had the armor pack to heal him up. 'Cause usually it'd
I
be
think
Jake goes down, Muma goes down right after.
I think that's Jake getting stuck in his mindset of like, I've been playing DPS, I've been playing Pharah, I've been playing Hanzo, right? Like now I'm on Brig and I'm still in that like DPS mindset. And
Yeah, I think just
they're not
trying to
getting out
make
of
the
that.
play. Well, I mean, but that's been Outlaws like stage 1 and 2, single players trying to make big plays and overextending. So hopefully they learn from it. But talking about the Mayhem's getting better. Bare Hands plan might be starting to work out, and Fate looked good in that match against the Outlaws, like really good.
I think Fate's better suited on an all Korean roster, right? Like I think we heard Space on um, Oversight talk about it, where there was some communication difficulties with Fate on the Valiant, and not that like he couldn't understand some of the things, but it was like if you're mid match and you need to explain why you should do something a different way, it was very difficult to get that point across in a short amount of time with
Yeah.
Fate. And so I think we're seeing Fate in a different atmosphere right now where he is surrounded by all Korean speaking players and he can actually produce the results that he's capable of.
And
Like
another point to think about is he got to play a ton of Monkey, and we've always known he's been really good at Monkey. So, he didn't have to play as much Rhine. But yeah,
yeah, because we played DPS.
Yeah, this was an interesting match. I think that the Mayhem get to play some of their strengths a little bit more, right? Especially now that they're not confined to just playing goats. And Outlaws was giving them some room to actually play some of the stuff. Saya player like really took that space and like you guys said, really ran away with it.
dude, he was popping off.
But I don't know. I don't know if this is a good judge of what's to come, right? I think it's just two teams that their styles kind of like the Outlaw style just really didn't favor them there, and
That's a
Linkster
good
not
point.
being able to keep up with Saya player didn't help at all, right?
Yeah, because like Linkster definitely was not on like he normally is, and like I think that was a big problem for the Outlaws when the other, you know, Widow when he played Widow was just popping off. Saya player it was good to see Saya player play it again, like playing Widow and
His
hitting those
Widow, his
shots.
McCree, his Hanzo, like all of those, like it was just like, oh my god. But I also don't think I think Houston's been scrimming against Goats teams. You know what I mean? I think they know how to play this comp against Goats teams, and I think they were challenged with another DPS squad. And yes, they've been challenged with other DPS squads, but I don't think to the level of Saya player's skill, right? Like Saya player destroyed them. And then I think they got tilted, and then I think they went all, Outlaws on us and tilted their way out of the game.
Yep, but
Good on Mayhem though for taking advantage of the opening that the Outlaws gave him and
For sure.
running away with it. Yeah, good on them. They
I
didn't want to fall behind in the upsets week that we've been having. It's like we
Right?
can do it too, guys.
I want to know what you guys think about the Dallas Fuel. Dallas Fuel went this week and lost 0-3 to the Spark and 0-4 to the Hunters. They got 4-0'd for a second time by the Hunters. Like, how do you not win a map after you just played them the week before?
I
Dallas
mean, I'm a
is
little
in a
biased here because I
tailspin
love the
here.
Hunters.
Yeah, I
'Cause
don't know. I think that they're really lacking some leadership in the field. I think that their leadership outside of the field is looking good, but they sometimes it looks like they lack a little bit of cohesion, and if things don't go according to plan, they sort of fall apart a little bit.
And
And when
tilt.
especially
They tilt
tilt,
hard.
yeah, and especially when they're going against teams that work really well together. like a lot of the Chinese teams, even if they're not the strongest teams on the league, work well together because they're all used to playing with one another. They're coming from the same region, and they're very creative sometimes in some of the strategies that they play. Right? It's almost like sometimes they come with their own meta to the game. The Chinese teams sometimes like doing their own thing. Um, and I think that really makes the fields struggle. Like they're not ready for that sort of like bait and switch that these teams are doing on them, and then they're falling apart in the field.
Well, and then Dallas has been doing the roster changes. Like we did see Trill come in and play both days. Definitely had jitters the first day. Played a little bit better the second day, but it definitely is like he's coming from. He used to play with a 300 ping, and I wonder if being on LAN is messing with him in his timing of different things because the guy looks like a different player uh, than he was on Team Envy in Contenders, and
I think it's
also
just synergy, though. I think it's honestly just synergy with the
it could be,
team.
but
Like it's goats, and
he's
he's
really in front of his team often and out of
right.
position.
But maybe that's how he played before, right? And maybe he's communicating that, and it's not being effectively followed through with or whatnot. Like, I mean, you're playing against a bunch of teams that have played together for a long time, and so you're sitting there as the newbie on this team with 5 other people, and you can see the disconnect there. You can see Zachary swapping heroes, giving up ult charge like
Zachary, oh my God, yeah, he will
every other
just
death. He swaps to
switch to
Tracer
something, yeah, and then switches back to the
and
character
then
he was
switches back to
already
Brig.
on. Well, no,
Yeah,
not just Brig, but whatever
I know,
character
but
he's playing, and then switches back to it, and it's just like, dude, you just wasted 30% ult charge. What are you doing?
and you can tell there's just a disconnect in the comms, right? There's a disconnect in the comms, and people have different opinions, and maybe there's too many leaders and not one person stepping up and being like, no, this is what we're doing, guys, right? Like there's too many people that think that they can fix it on
Maybe
that team.
too many
Yeah,
cooks in the kitchen.
I think that they have a lot of really good players, but they're players that are not working too well together, or their styles are not meshing. And Sakurai, not only him the swapping to other heroes, but I think that his brig is lacking. If you go look at Bird
Oh
Ring,
yeah.
if you go look at
Oh yeah,
agilities,
I've been saying that about Zachary for a while now.
their Brigitas are just insane how they get played. Like they get so much value all of the time, but I rarely see Zachary get value out of his Brig. I think he's really lacking there, and it's affecting the team because it's such a prominent hero in this metagame, especially against Sombra. Brigitte, one of the most important heroes to stop
Right.
Sombras in the enemy team, and the teams that are actually doing it right have had quite a lot of success, or at least have been able to hang in this meta.
I don't think he wants to play Brigitte, and I think he wants to do anything he can to not play Brigitte, and I think that's the problem, right? He's never actually committed to
To the role.
playing this meta and doing his job, right? And I don't know. I mean, I feel like losing 4-0 to the Hunters, yes, fine. Losing 3-0 to the Spark, I mean, they're both decent teams, right? So it's not like you lost to the Mayhem. But I also think it's a really horrible time to take out OGE. I think OGE had the momentum from the homestand game. I think OGE had the support from the team and from the
Yeah,
fans.
but OG called he asked for it. He asked for it publicly on Twitter too.
So you're saying OG took himself out of the lineup?
He said he was feeling like stressed out and like burnt out, and he thought it would be a good idea for Trill to come in. But like,
Yeah, but maybe that could have been like a kind of like I kind of know I'm going out anyways. We just signed Trill. Like, maybe I'll just like act like this is what I want. I don't know if that's true. Everybody needs a backup, right? But like, I just feel like they had gained synergy. They were on a roll with OG, and then
yeah, well, they
they
also had
popped.
an easier schedule in stage 2 as well, and like we do have to mention that during the last game of the week against the Chengdu Hunters, Unko had an eye infection and couldn't come in. So my boy Harry Hook got in which was awesome because Harry
Harry
was
looked
like
good.
he was the MVP of that match. Like he had so many sleeps. He was on fire. But
His Ano looked very strong.
I did find it weird that Unko had this eye infection, but he was streaming today, a day after not being in the match, and his eye looked fine to me. So I mean, it was just kind of like
Well,
if
to
you're
be fair,
gonna
if you're
like just
recovering
tell
from
the
an eye
truth, guys.
infection, maybe you don't want, the pressure of having to perform, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think like if he has an eye infection and can't do his job, then I think you probably should be streaming the next day, and you probably should have a patch over that and be healing as fast as possible, just like NFL players buy the what's it called chambers, the what's it called, the hyperbolic
The ice chamber?
hyperbolic chamber, so that they can heal faster. Like I
Listen, I
think
got
your
lots of
job
people
is
that
to
call
do
in sick
this.
to work and then post pictures of themselves on social media to
And
concert or something. It's
that's
just
what
stupid.
that's what I'm worried about. It sounds like BS, and I would rather you just say, "Well, you benched Unko." Like, I don't
Man.
want to hear that, But like,
Maybe Fuel is just going through some burnout period or something. I mean, all teams have gone through something like that, right? Like Seoul Dynasty went through one last year. New York Excelsior has gone through one. The Outlaws just came out of a huge burnout little section that they had. Spitfire has suffered from them. I think that it hits all the teams in the league, right? It might be
you're
Dallas's
actually
time.
you're actually hitting on exactly what I was wanting to point out. Is that I
Uh,
think Dallas went on a huge high at the homestand weekend, a high that you just can't forget. And then they go back to the Blizzard Arena, where the majority of the fans are really just honestly Gladiator and Valiant fans, and they'll buy other jerseys. They're kind of wishy-washy, but they're not really like
they're
super
Why are you hating on the
cheering.
arena fans, man?
Well, it's just
because they switched jerseys. That's
Yeah.
not okay.
yeah, they are a little wishy-washy, and it like being like you're gonna see it here soon. Like week and a half, you're gonna see how crazy it is. And I think like the Fuel just had a huge high and then hit a huge low coming back to the LA arena. And I think you might be right. They might be just really burning out.
I don't know. I'm gonna stick on the free Fraggy train and also the free Mickey train because I think if you free Mickey, we
I
might
say
have.
free Taimu. Put Taimu on Brigitte and see what happens.
Listen, Mickey was
There's
like one of
lots
the
of
best.
there's lots of people
Brigitas.
calling for that too. And Taimu actually called for that on social media. I don't know if it was a good idea, but Taimu said, "I've shown that I could do the Brigitte role, but not given a chance by the coaching staff." And like
Good. Put Taimu
sometimes
in.
I
Put Mickey.
wonder,
I don't care. Take Zachary out.
dude. Sometimes I wonder if Arrow is like secretly related to Zachary, and it's like his like second cousin or
Seriously, though.
something. Because like
Seriously.
I just
Or he's
don't
got like a
understand.
blackmail on him or something. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, what's happening?
I don't know
He
what
is
they see
not
in
your
Zachary.
best player. Like, he is not your best player. And if you were ever playing DPS, fine.
Yes.
But you're not.
And Zachary looked good at a lot of times playing Hanzo. His Genji play was very questionable to me, at least on Horizon Lunar Colony. But like,
He just doesn't seem like a team player, though. Like, he just seems
maybe
like
he
it's his
just
way
has like
or whatever.
really good work ethic or something. So like even though he's not the best, it's just really easy to work with, and he's just like, okay, fine.
But I feel like we see the opposite in the games. With him switching and spawn so frequently, you can tell that he's pushing his agenda, right? Like he's pushing to do something that he wants to do. He gets vetoed and he reluctantly switches back.
yeah. So please, Zachary, just ask permission of your team before you waste 30 and 40% ult charge by just switching and switching back, because that really wastes a lot of time, dude. But talking about some other games, like the Gladiators, who have been pretty hot, lost to the Dragons 1-3 this week. Shanghai really stepping it up. You think they're in trouble, or do you think they just got caught slipping? Gladiators.
I think the Dragons are really good. I think the Dragons have Ding on Sombra, and that throws Goats teams for a loop.
The ding.
Yeah, again, like they got that Sombra going on. Yeah, and if you're going up against them and you're not prepared to take on that Sombra, you're gonna struggle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Well, how about what?
I was just laughing. You're like, okay.
Yeah, I honestly don't know that. Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch the Saturday games, and I believe that was that was on Saturday. I had to do the apartment stuff, that day as well, and so I didn't get to watch those games. So I don't really know what they actually did, but I think the Gladiators are just fine. I think they must have been caught slipping. But hmm. Let's talk about NYXL and Spitfire, because the London Spitfire are playing a different Sombra. Who did they play? I thought they might have brought Guard in to do the Sombra Goats back in, the Sombra Goats mirror matchup, but they didn't bring in Guard. And so who did they play? Help me out here,
I'm
man.
looking at over here.
They played Prophet on
London.
Sombra.
Ah,
There
okay.
you go. Yeah, Prophet, the master of
So then,
everything.
so then, who did they
Right.
play on Zarya then?
For Fury played Zarya when they played Zarya.
Okay. And then Fury, dude, we got to see Fury uh play Farah. That was really cool. Like
And
Yeah,
Hanzo.
yeah,
in
like
Hanzo.
Fury looked good
Farah
on
and Hanzo, yeah.
DPS. Yeah, that was pretty cool. But NYXL, like, do you think that they're still winning? Like, and they're still winning in the fashion that they always won. They had many 3-2s in season 1, but it was always them winning. They were always clutching it out, regardless. So, do you think
Yeah, until the end
NYXL?
though. You know, NYXL chokes at the end, takes a nap. London did the same thing though. London has always been up and down, but always at the top, right? Like they take games off, they lose games, they, win games that they shouldn't, and then we're the season 1 champions, right? Like, I mean, London's never been a Vancouver Titans. New York has been
No.
much closer to a Vancouver Titans. You know
Yes.
what I mean? London's never been that, but they were a season 1 champs because I think London adapts, and like Prophet's a key example of that. Prophet learns how to play a character watching somebody else play it. He doesn't invent anything. He's never the first best at anything, but he becomes the best because he learns from the best and then it perfects it, right? Like he did it with Junkrat when Jake was Jake Rat, right? Prophet was the first one to contest that. He was the first one to contest Mig on Brick or Mickey on Brig. And I think now he's contesting Ding on Sombra, right? Like he's becoming that person that he needs to be. And I think that's just who Prophet is.
Yeah, I think Prophet and Birdring are just some of the most flexible DPS players out there. They're just so good at playing everything that you put them to play. And then they have like that X Factor potential too, where all of a sudden they just pop off and everybody's just dead and you don't know what just happened. They just
Yeah,
killed everyone.
like Prophet on Tracer on Oasis in the grand finals, like where he like blinked across, like in the air. He blinked across so they could clear the wall, and then dropped down, and they just didn't even expect him to come from that location. And, I mean, he killed the Farah on the rooftop, and then recall. I mean, it was out of this world.
Exactly. There's those kinds of players, right? Not only players that are solid and well balanced, they're doing, their job. They're also the players that clutch it. That all of a sudden they make a play that nobody was expecting, that were not expecting them to do. They just came up with it on the spot. It's a unorthodox play sometimes, but it's a risk that if they pull it off, they not only look good, but they also win the fight on the spot for their team, right? I think that London Spitfire has that to their advantage. Really solid team in general. Sometimes they kind of like fluke it here and there because their players just don't pop off that day, I guess. But I think that New York Excelsior, on the other hand, has just really high consistency of players. Like Jonak is just such a center dude, and he's always playing good. He's always popping off, right? In the games that you put him on, it's just a force to contest every time. Then you have Sabiobi, you have Nene, which are just such
Well, and
high caliber players too.
we got to see the re-emergence of Libero this week too.
Libero has been uncaged too, and I think they're finding a really good groove with Sabiobi on the Sombra. I think that Sabiobi is not the best Sombra that we've seen in the league, but he's able to hang up there and he's able to still pop off like some of the other Sombras, right? He's not
He's
a
the
bad
best
Sombra. He's very
assassinating
close.
one. He's the
Yeah,
best assassinating Sombra.
he does play it very close to a Tracer, right? Like that Tracer tracking and mentality has definitely stuck with him. And he brings that to the table with Sombra. I think that guys like Ding or Shax are really good strategy Sombras, and they're spot on every time that they play. But Sabiobi is right there with them.
I think
Can we talk about Nene's
NYXL.
widow?
I think, yeah, dude, his widow. Well, I mean, we saw that at the,
We knew that, yeah, from the
yeah,
1v1 Widow tourney.
yeah, we didn't know before
Yeah.
that, but like he definitely like did it in game. I think NYXL wins stage 3 playoffs. What do you guys think?
And it might be because New York Excelsior is actually in a good position to be swapping, right? They're not a GOATS team. They learned GOATS and they are playing it really well now, but they're not a GOATS team. In fact, you want them on everything but GOATS. They would rather be on dive or even bunker or triple DPS, right? That's where they thrive.
They're definitely
Right.
a Sombra Goats team now, but why don't we move on to the Atlanta Rain?
Oh no, do
And
we have to?
yeah, why don't you tell me what's going on with the Atlanta Rain? Because we're coming up on the homestand, and
So I have my hopes up on the homestand. We have a lot of fans here. We have rather easy games against Defiant and against Mayhem. And I would say easy in quotes because they're not. I mean, right now anything can happen, right? Anyone, everyone's beating everyone, and Atlanta is on a downturn right now. They look a little bit lost. I think that they're be making a lot of mistakes, and their morale is an all-time low. I don't think I've ever seen Dogman as sad as these past few games at the very end of it. He just looks demoralized, right?
Him and
Like he
Fusions could
doesn't
have a
know what
competition for who's more sad on the stage after they lose, right? Like
happened.
Fusions is like so depressed and so is Dogman, and it's just
well,
like, what's
but
happening, guys?
but Boston beat Raid 3-2 in a reverse sweep. Another Boston reverse sweep.
They found their mojo.
Yeah,
They said Dogman's more sad than Fusions. Let's take it.
I think uh, I think this team was built on Defran. I think Defran leaving really hurt this team. I wonder what it would be, what your record would be if Defran had never left and played stage 2 and stage 3.
It's hard to tell. Definitely, the Fran was a huge addition to the team, and he was bringing in a lot. I think that Baby Bay has big shoes to fill, and so far he's done, I think, a lacking job. I don't think he's done a terrible job, but he's definitely not performed like we've wanted him to, right? His Saria, I think, is very middle of the road. He makes a lot of mistakes with it. I think his Sombra is very middle of the road. The characters that he's known to be the best at are not characters that we've been playing as Atlanta because so far we've been a very goats centered team. And now that the meta is evolving a little bit, we're not able to hang like we used to before. I think with our goats was really solid because we were on the backs of some of our best players like Dako, Masa, Erster. But now that that meta is sort of evolving, it doesn't have that same effect, right? And like
Well,
we
and I
really
don't think
need
you guys have a good Sabra either.
exactly now having the Sombra is having a big more of an impact than having that fantastic Lucio plays because Masa is still making those plays. Like he's such an incredible player. I think that Daco looked a little shaky this week, but in general, he makes some really awesome plays as well. So we have the players. Dogman has been looking a little bit shaky, but when he pops off, he pops off. I think that our front line is looking the shakiest, right? I think that Pokpo and Baby Bay are just not really performing. Pokpo has his moments, and I think that if we could open up a little bit more space for him, he wouldn't look so bad. But right now, yeah, we're just oof. We're looking lost, I think.
Yeah. Well, a
Do you
team
think that
that's
so Baby Bay didn't play Sombra, it was Daco this last game, and they didn't play a lot of it. And Philly played a lot more of Sombra, right? Do you think that that had any contribution? Like, is Daco just not as comfortable on Sombra? Have they just not practiced it? Like, I feel like Sombra Goats is fairly high in the meta right now, and they're kind of
but
wavering on what they're doing.
Sombra's hard to play. That's why we
Sombra
didn't
is
see it
hard to
early
play.
on.
The thing about Sombra is that what you hack and where you are and you can hack it is so important. And right now, some of these teams have gotten really good at fighting off Sombras. You have Brigittas constantly looking out for you. If they have a Diva or a Zarya around, go look at the New York Excelsior versus Spitfire match, because both of those teams actually do a really good job of Sombra control. Bird Ring and Fury are just constantly firing at every possible door, window, or
Hmm.
anything where she might come from, and it makes it really hard to play Sombra. If your Sombra play is not spot on, you're getting caught by some of these teams, and I
Yep.
think
And
that
you're in
we
charge
don't have that.
of
We don't have that in our team.
You're in charge of relaying information. Like, one of the biggest things about Sombra is Sombra knows immediately, oftentimes, before the team fight, if they've made any swaps, like which side they're coming from. She is a spy in the back line, and like relaying that information is also very important. So if you have a Sombra
That
player who doesn't, like, say you don't have an all Korean roster, you don't have an all American roster. That Sombra player can only give like robust amount of information to half of the team. And that's a
I,
big factor I think people don't think about.
I will say though, when Philly played Sombra, so when Carpe was on Sombra for a majority of the time, Atlanta won both those games. So Atlanta won on Havana and Nepal when Philly was really committed to Sombra.
And you think
But
about Carpe being just an extraordinary talent, but still is struggling on Sombra.
right, or maybe Atlanta thought that they could beat it, and maybe they could, you know. But they
yeah,
did play quite a bit of Sombra on Havana too. So I don't know.
and
Maybe it was just the goats v goats they couldn't figure out.
and I don't know if in this case in particular it was Philly's Sombra that was the difference maker. I don't think it was. I think the what made the most difference is that we're struggling in some of our roles and we're struggling in getting some cohesion there. We're we're not getting the most juice out of our heroes, and because we have certain gaps, we have started to try to adapt, right? Like putting Daco on Sombra, where for the most part we had a really solid diva. Now we have a shaky Sombra, right? Where before we had an all-star Zarya who would freaking parkour on roofs and throw gravitons from the stratosphere. Now we have a Zarya that gets four grabs eaten in a row. Um, so
Right.
I think that we're struggling in some of our roles right now, and that's the biggest difference maker more than anything that other teams are playing against us.
Well, the beauty of Sombra coming into the meta is it pushes out Diva, and we've got to see a lot of Ana play that I have missed quite a bit. So that has been exciting, at least.
For sure.
Shock. Shock beats the Uprising 4-0 and beats the Mayhem 4-0. Shock seems like they're still a little pissed from losing to Houston. And it seems like they are really going on a rampage, and they don't want to lose a map.
They're reclaiming what is theirs. They really want to send a message that that was a fluke and that there isn't no Sombra out there that can stop him. But I think that we showed that they can bleed, and we showed a way that they can be defeated. And even though their goats play is one of the most solid in the league, I think it's also a goats play that people have started to figure out a little bit. I think that Atlanta showed that because I think that regardless of what I say about Baby Bay, he did have some insider knowledge on that team, and he brought
Mhm.
a lot of that there, and it showed. And I think that if you know what San Francisco's plan is, you can disrupt them a little bit, and they gotta watch out for that, right? They're
I
gonna have to
do
come up with some backups for that.
They have
I
to be
do feel
careful.
like that has been a problem, right? Because when they play against, they've traded a lot of people, right? So like Dante, Houston kind of has a little inside track. Baby Bay, Houston or Atlanta has a little bit of an inside track there. Like there's a number of teams that have an ex shock player on their roster now, and I think that
That's
that
something to
might
think
hurt
about when
them.
you're the top team and you're training up your players. Yeah,
Right.
because now your secrets are known, your coaching style, what they're emphasizing. Um,
Right.
and if you look at San
Who they
Francisco,
protect,
they
like
definitely have a very particular style. I like calling it the rubber band style. They're one of the best teams at rubber banding. And when I say rubber banding is their formation is very flexible. When the enemy team decides to get aggressive, they're really good at stepping back just enough just to
mhm.
bring him around the corner, around the wall.
Yeah,
Super is amazing
rotation.
at baiting. Super is really amazing at baiting this. He'll just let you in for a little bit. And as soon as they've given you enough space to the point where just like slightly committed and they have you where they wanted, they rubber band and they strike back quick and fast and they take out that front line. They rush you in. And they do this so many times. They're even not scared to give up the point. In fact, sometimes they just outright let you have as much percentage as you want. But when they're coming back, they're getting that point back really fast. And I think that the
Brannigan's
teams that
Law. Oh, sorry. I thought you were dead.
no, that was basically it. The teams that have figured that out are like exploiting it, I feel, a little bit right now.
Yeah, I just heard you say hard and fast, so I was gonna say Brannigan's Law is like Brannigan's love, hard and fast. But that I think that brings us to a good closing point.
One more team though that we didn't an honorable mention
Oh,
here
go ahead. Go ahead.
because I think Spark has really upped their ante.
Oh yeah, I was gonna
Spark
mention
is
them, but
I mean just Spark has increasingly gotten better and better, and I think they won against the Fuel and Fuel's on a downward spiral, but they also won against Dynasty, and Dynasty has looked a lot better, this
definitely.
stage. So I think Spark is definitely showing us that they're a contender, that they figured out their play style and how they want to play, and they're finally cashing in their scrim bucks.
Yeah,
Yeah, Spark is looking
Gooshway looks
really good.
good. But we're gonna go ahead and end it out. This is gonna wrap this week's episode up. We are gonna be at the Atlanta homestand here in 2 weeks. Now, any listener who comes up and talks to us and just says, you don't even have to say you like Al Recap. Just say you've listened to it. We will give you a cute and cuddly. We have
Cute
about
but deadly.
yeah, cute but deadly. We have about 10 to 11 of them, and we're going to give them out until they're gone. So if you come out and you just say hi to us, you can get one. It's first come, first serve. When they're gone, they're gone. But I encourage
But
you
you won't
guys to
know,
come
so you
say
can
hi.
still say hi to us.
Yeah, I encourage you guys to come say hi. We went to the Dallas homestand, and quite a few people said hi, and it was really cool. But then quite a few people wrote in later that they didn't want to bother us. We would love to talk to you. We would love to talk to you about the show. Any suggestions you have, it would be great. So come up to us, and you might get a cute but deadly. We encourage you to follow us on Twitter. You can follow us at Al Recap. If you want to say something a little bit longer, you can send your emails to contact@alrecap.com. If you want to join our Discord server, that is discord.me/OmnicLab. We do game nights at the end, the last Friday of every month. So this coming Friday, the 28th, we're going to do game night. You want to say something about that, iPlay?
Yeah, game night is a lot of fun. It's coming up. I'm excited for this one because I missed the last one. I think that last time we were talking about maybe doing some workshop mode. So I don't know if maybe we'll have like a for funsies lobby this time to just do some crazy games. I'm trying to collect a few crazy modes. So far, I have Overwatch Tekken, and I
Oh, I
also
want to play
have
that so bad. I've seen
uh,
that.
I have a soldier racing as well. So I'm still collecting some fun modes out there. Darwin Streams has definitely been the #1 provider of those. If you guys haven't had a chance to check him out, make sure you do. Really cool stream, really cool guy. But yeah, come out and have fun. We'll be having competitive games, workshop games. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
And speaking of Darwin streams, you can thank that man for finding the Brigitte bug that's been in comp since Brigitte came about, and because of the workshop, he was able to find it. Overwatch devs were able to eliminate the bug quickly. It'll be interesting to see. You said it on Omnic Lab too. It'll be interesting to see if like Goats was all just because of this bug.
I think it's Goats is more than that, but definitely another way to weaken the comp.
We encourage you to come watch us live. We do the show live on twitch.tv/Al Recap. And the live version is kind of fun. We do a little post show afterwards. I mean, we take questions if you guys have any. So I encourage you to come check us out there. The show is on YouTube and like most podcatchers, iTunes, Spotify, whatever. If you want to support us, we encourage you to just tell people about the show. Just, like maybe leave us a rating on iTunes. Like we would love to have some more of those. We read them on the show. If you'd like to support us even further, you can go to patreon.com/AlRecap. And also, please, I want to say again, please write into us what perks would entice you to throw a little bit of money at it. Let us know. I mean, we're going to do the show regardless because we just love doing it, but we would love to know what perks you would like because we'd just like to give you more of what you want. All right. You ready, guys? Where can we find you, iPlay?
If you want to find me, you can do so over on Twitter at iPlayGames. You spell that IPLAI Games.
And Mel, where can we find your beautiful face?
Well, you can only find that on Twitch, but you can find my beautiful typing on Twitter at Overwatch. Actually, I do more GIFs than typing, so
Yeah,
yeah,
you're
it's
definitely
more
a
fun that way.
yeah,
That
you're
sexy
definitely
font.
a GIF
Yeah.
queen. And you can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. We thank you so much for taking the time to listen and hang out with us. We'll see you guys next week with a report on the Wait, no, it's not.
Nope.
Sorry. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
All right. Later on, guys.